Well, looky here, I'm back, finally. And it's been a long journey for this beautiful 1933 Dodge 5-window coupe. And as you're seeing, I am unveiling another brand new engine. There's a good reason for it. But first, here it is. We actually got it from Summit Racing. It's a Blueprint engine. It is your 350. It's a partial cruiser, and I don't really know the correct performance name for this particular engine, but we made some subtle changes to adapt much better and easier for this coupe. The engine before this, and then there's an engine before that one. The one before that one, having to rebuild it 3 times, the client did not feel comfortable driving it anymore. The dependability really wasn't there, and feeling though it was done 3 times, just did not want to experience any more debacles, breakdowns, shutdowns, and everything under the sun. So we opt to put a brand new engine in there. And we ordered that brand new engine, and actually we figured we'd match it like I originally stated before we started building the car. Right, young lady? Exactly. She just stuck her tongue out on me because, you know, I give people an option, and what they do with their money in their car is their business. But we opt to put the 360 Mopar engine in it because it is a Mopar car. And we explained everything in detail to Mr. Jeggs and waited 8 weeks and only to be disappointed. And in the meantime, but Jeggs stepped up and they took everything back, full money back, so there was no issues there. And at that point, we really didn't have a choice but to go back to the 350, and that's why now we're with this really nice looking, hopefully real good 350 engine. Put some boots of grease. She's at my feet again. She always shows up when I'm doing a video. She wants my attention again instead of giving the attention to the people that are hopefully watching. So we got it out of the crate yesterday, got it set up on the engine run stand. We start putting parts on there, and we have a few more to put on there. And once they are on there, then we're going to let it do its break-in period of 30 minutes running, so that this way there are no issues and no concerns on anything for that matter. So here she is. She wants the attention. I put them boots. There you go. Go do your thing, kitty. All right, so what we have to do now is we're going to hopefully have the right bolts for the fan where it goes under the water pump. We got to put the starter on, oil filter on, put oil in it. Then we're going to pull the distributor, and I'm going to mechanically turn the pump, the oil pump, and hopefully we have the oil pressure that we need before we actually fire it up. We got gas yesterday in the can because it'll run at least 3/4 of the container for 30 minutes, and it could even go more, and that's a 2.5 gallon container. So it should be enough to run for the 30 minutes. If not, if I see it going down, we're going to have to get some really fast because you're not going to turn it off in that 30-minute runtime. We got the flex plate on the back. We actually got a dipstick, which, you know, is really funny. The 360 from Jeggs did not come with the dipstick tube or the actual dipstick. I was blown away. For the amount of money the client spent, this thing should have been in damn gold, but they didn't even provide one. And they ended up sending it afterwards, but they ended up getting it back anyway because we didn't keep the engine. So, and this particular air cleaner really doesn't do this thing justice. We're going to put the one that was originally that we got for the coupe, and we're going to swap it out for that one because that one looks more error correct for that build. Yeah, this ain't nothing expensive. It's cheap. The chrome will start rusting probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it started rusting in a year. That's how they are. Anything really made today, unless you're really getting something of real quality, which this is not, it'll end up rusting. The top, the bottom will rust. The filter will last, but we didn't get it for the filter. That's what came with the engine. So I'm going to get started with putting a few things on, and once that gets on there, I will chime back in, and hopefully we'll hear this thing run. So stand by. All right, I'm back. I'm putting the break-in oil in, pull the distributor out, because mechanically I'm going to run the pump with a drill as soon as I find the rod that I use to do that. In the meantime, I have the client doing a important job. She's holding the distributor just as I took it out. I believe it'll make it easier when it comes to putting it back in exactly where it was, I think. So right now, I think I have one more quart of oil to go, or two. Oh, actually two. Two? 2.5? Yep. We have to hook up the alternator yet. The starter's on, the oil filter's on. Oil filter's got oil in it. What else is there? Oh, we got to get a belt. Hopefully we should have one that will fit. We got to put antifreeze in the radiator. Yep. And once that's done, and then we're going to start her up, hopefully. I'm glad they really seal these good. Turn that way. And the break-in oil is blue. It's a real nice color. So a few more things, and we should be ready to turn her over. So in the meantime, stand by. All right, we're back, and we're ready to fire her up. And it's not going to fire right up immediately. It's going to have a little bit of crank time and so forth. But in the meantime, we're going to go through the steps and let it run its 30 minutes, hopefully. Switches are on, power's on. Maybe the battery might be low. We'll see. So far, so good. There's no gas in the carburetor yet. I don't want it in there yet. I did pre-pump the oil with a drill and a rod. Had the distributor out. So we had oil flowing. We had 50 pounds, a little over 50 pounds of oil pressure. We got oil pressure coming through the line. Well, it's the next day, and last night didn't turn out to be good. Nothing extremely major, but we couldn't finish doing the break-in period. We ran for 6 minutes, and in that 6 minute time, we had pretty decent oil leak coming out of the rear main seal area. Temperature got over 210. I think it was heading towards probably, I don't know, 120 somewhere. I mean, 220. It's getting too hot. And because of the oil leaking coming out of the back and the temperature getting too hot, safest thing to do is shut it down. And knowing that we only ran it for 6 minutes, we got in touch with the company Blueprint. I'm going to show you the oil leak. And the client was here at the time. She actually videoed when it started running and got to see that. And you can see the blue because that's the color of the break-in oil. And, you know, it stained the concrete. It's on the back of the engine. But we called Blueprint and we're supposed to hear from them. You tell it it's a fine looking engine. And this is the second engine that I've gotten to work with Blueprint, from Blueprint. The first one, if you remember, the red 57 Chevy wagon was also Blueprint. Probably a very similar engine. I think this might be their cruiser line, as it's called. But in the meantime, I didn't like the idea that it got over 210. They told me 210 is normal. Maybe it's normal. I just like it more closer to maybe 195 because the thermostat is a 180 thermostat. So you'd imagine it might get 10 degrees hotter, maybe 20 at most, and then, you know, drop back down depending on your cooling system. And I had the blower going into the radiator plus the flex fan and then that fan was running on it, you know, just to keep air movement. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to get the engine hoist. I'm going to hook it up back here somewhere, probably into the side of the head right here, and just take some of the weight pressure off because you can see I have two other anchor points where the engine mounts would be. And once I have the weight off the back of this, I'll unbolt it. I could slide that right off. I'm going to take the flex plate off and see what I got going on back there because I'm not sure when we're going to hear from them, but, you know, I think it's crazy. But then again, things happen. You can buy a brand new engine. You can have them rebuilt 3 times. And whether you're going to feel comfortable with it or not, well, this is what happens with a brand new engine. And you can buy one out of a junkyard, or you buy a donor car or a truck and you take the engine out of that. You know, there's multiple ways of, you know, accomplishing what you want to do when it comes to a project or a project. So, or even a smart car project lifted 9 inches. But anyhow, and we got everything from them, including the break-in oil. Everything came from them, so there can't be a discrepancy. Well, you didn't use this. You should have done something else, or whatever other story. I don't think we're going to get a story. I'm not sure what their thing is going to be on this. If they're going to want us to return it, I have no idea, or fix it, one or the other. So I'm sure they will get back to us. And in the meantime, I'm going to put you on the stand, and I'm going to get started on doing what I need to do for this, because I got to get it done. The client, which is understandable, a little disappointing. We can't catch a break here for whatever reason. I know we're not doing anything wrong. It's the reason why I always invite the client when it comes to things like this. I always invite them to come and check out the project as it's coming along. Keep it as transparent as possible. This way, you know, you earn trust. It's just not given. That's always been my thing. So let me get started on this. And actually, the engine hoist is behind it. So let's see here. Alrighty. Here we are. I got to get me a small chain and a 3/8 bolt, which I'm sure I have, and I'll be right back. So hang on there. We got ourselves a kind of a long chain. It's recording. I'm just verifying. Make sure this bolt fits. It certainly does. Put that there. I wonder. Or should I just do this? Alrighty. And actually, give me more room here. Alright. So, well, actually, I'm gonna have to go higher. Better yet, let's see if I can find a shorter chain. Here we go, shorter chain. So let me put you on standby. Let me get this all together, and once I start doing what I need to do, I'll chime back in. So stand by. All right, I'm back, and I just took some pictures and sent it to the client. It has to do with what I see here, where the cam cover is. There's a cap, and then there's a cap on either side, and the wetness, as far as that oil, is here on the top, and it's right here at the cam cap cover. And there's some oil on this opposite one, which would be the right side of the engine. No, the left side of the engine. Yeah, no, right side of the engine. Left side driver, right side passenger. So it wouldn't surprise me if the cam cap was leaking and dripping on there and then running and spitting it out. I'm going to let them know about that. They do have all the proper signs from silicone being around the caps and silicone around the rear main seal itself, that cap around there. You can see the ooze out on the oil pan, the back end where the gasket is, and it's blue, and then the gray silicone. And the one thing I want to mention, silicone's great whether you use Right Stuff, which I use. I like it. You know, not being sponsored by them either. And I've also used Honda Bond, which at that point, using that, I thought that stuff was the best. And it is pretty darn good, not being sponsored by Honda Bond either. But when it comes to using any form of silicone that you like, that you think is the best, use whatever you like. And based on my own experience, and knowing silicone, anything you're going to apply it to, it's got to be really clean, free of any oil, antifreeze, anything like that. It's got to be dry and clean. And that's what makes it work the best. So maybe when they were putting the cam in, they didn't clean the oil off the surrounding area where the cap is going to go. And if that's the case, it's a good chance that the cap would leak. Maybe. You just don't know. And it could be the seal's leaking. Because the way it seems, it just, there's nothing on this one, on the left side, on this cap, but it is pretty strong and heavy on this right cap and also in the center, along with on the top of the seal on the crank. So I'm sure Blueprint is going to have an answer, a recommendation of some sort. I'm going to give them my 2 cents worth. I did send the pictures. I know that the client will send them to Blueprint and we'll move on from there. And everything is tight. I did a little verification. There was no movement on this stuff. So, they check it off by the yellow marks on these Allen head screws, blue marks on the casing that holds the rear main seal. They're on there. So, they did their thing. Things happen. Unfortunately, it happened now. And saying earlier, this is the second one and we didn't have that problem. So 1 for 1, it's a 50-50 shot. But you run into scenarios even when engines are built 3 times. And that's why the client didn't want to use the one that came with it, doesn't trust it, because it's been rebuilt 3 times. So I get it. You have the ability to make that happen, and that's what you feel you want to do, then you do it. It's your car, it's your money. And at the same time, you can buy a donut car, a donut truck to get the engine and the drivetrain out of that. And it was running fine when you got it, but as soon as you put it in a different vehicle, things start to happen. It's kind of the nature of the beast, maybe. You kind of hope it doesn't, but I've put a 50, they call it a 50, but there's 2 letters, and the letter is O, the number is 0, and because there's a 5 in front of it, you would think that it's a 50, and everybody says it's a 50 engine, Mustang engine. When I put it in the Lincoln, and it was out of a donor car, I put it in there, but I freshened it up with gaskets and things. I didn't do a rebuild on it. And later on in time, I ended up changing the water pump, which to find out that wasn't leaking. And I thought the perimeter of where it's sealed to, because they have a different setup than the Chevys. And it turns out the inner part coming off the block is what was leaking. Oh well. I took care of it and, changed the power steering pump 2-3 times, whatever it's been. My truck, it's been 3 times. It's just the parts. Most likely they're junk. They're not made like they used to, and they sure as the heck don't last long. But I'm going to leave well enough alone over here. I'm going to clean this stuff up, get all the oil and the gook off of it, and I'm going to proceed to do other things. So in the meantime, until then, stand by. All right, I'm back. And we spoke to the representative from Blueprint, and their suggestion is we run it a little bit longer and try to verify where the leak is coming from in the back of the engine. And I made it very clear that the flex plate is in the way of actually seeing where it's coming from, but we'll do our best. They also suggested to put a dye in there and get a black light to see exactly where the leak is coming from. And I never had a use for a black light when it comes to doing anything automotive, but nevertheless, I'm going to wait till the client gets here. In the meantime, I'm filling up, making sure the radiator is filled with water. When she gets here, we'll spray down the back of the engine with some brake clean, make sure all the oil and stuff is out of the way and cleaned up. and then we're going to run it. And I did clarify the runtime about what their instructions want you to do is to run it for the 30 minutes to do the break-in time. And I asked them about that. I said, because it ran for 6 minutes and we had to shut it down. They're not worried or concerned about that. They mentioned about the roller cam style setup that's in here. They mentioned a few other things. And I mentioned the fact about seating the rings in. And they said they're not worried about it because they ran it 20, 30 minutes at their building there and make sure there was no leaks or whatever else that they were checking for. But with the break-in oil, they said, for the first time, 500 miles, just take it easy, and that should take care of that. So, all right, it's in their hands. I made it very clear according to their instructions. But I'm going to let it run. If it's going to run, hopefully less than 210 degrees, because they said 210 degrees is normal for this engine. It shouldn't be a problem. But it was up over 210. I don't know how much. Once I seen that needle go past 210, I felt that it was time to shut it off. They also asked me about where the actual thermostat temperature sensor is, and I said it is in the intake, and that's where they would prefer it. They said some put it in the side of the head, but they would prefer it to be up at the top, and that's where I actually have it. But I'm going to let this thing run today longer than a few minutes to see where the oil leak's coming from. See what the temperature will get up to. Even if we run it for an additional 20 minutes, whatever, half hour, as long as everything stays within reason, I'm going to let it do its thing. I'd rather be safe than sorry. And once we tell them exactly where the oil leak's coming from, the best that I can, they'll send the parts, and then I will have to change them out. I'm hoping that it's actually the cam plug. I believe maybe that's a good possibility of where it's coming from. But, that's just my opinion. And my opinion don't mean much at this point until we can verify the best we can. And here she is, Miss Puss in Boots. She doesn't want to be on TV. That's okay. But I'm waiting for the client to get here so that we can move forward in making this thing do what it's got to do. So I'm going to continue to put water back in it. Make sure it's full. Yep, she's full. No, maybe can use a little bit more. I like to see this engine run no more than 200 degrees, personally. Being it's a 180 thermostat, personally, I'd rather change it to 165, personally. But they recommend the 180. They sell the engine into other areas that are similar to the weather we got here in Florida. So it's on them. It has a warranty. So as long as they stand by the warranty and they reimburse the client for the time spent, it's pretty much is all you're going to get out of it, personally, I think. I don't know. They do what they do. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Now it's just a waiting game. Yep, just a waiting game. I'm going to check the oil just for the fun of it. There really shouldn't be any difference. No, it's still on the full mark. Yep, very much so. And actually, they got their name. They're on this label for the break-in oil blueprint. It has safe 30, and that's what they recommended, and that's what's in it. All 5 quarts. I think it might be the client, so stand by. Okay, I'm here and the client's here, and we're going to get started on finding out where that oil leaks is. Anywho, switch is on, main power is on. I think we're good to go. It's coming out of that top screw. See the yellow? Come here on this side. You can see it was flowing out of the top, out of that screw.
Now, it's just a screw. It's not the.
No, it's not the rear main seal.
I see the big brown thing above it, and that's where
Yeah, here. It's coming out of there.
Yeah.
Out of that, where the yellow is.
It's out of the yellow. Okay.
So it's running down, and then it's piling up over there.
So it's not coming out of a big thing. It's just that one yellow.
Yeah, which.
Is that what you were talking about, where the silicone?
No, well, that's one of the. But the cap. See the cap? That cap right there? I sent you a picture of it already.
Well, I don't know what things are what.
No, it's a cap that covers the cam slot.
It's like a silvery thing.
All right, so let's start it and let it run. I don't want to take all this apart to try to tighten that.
Is it a little self-heal?
No, but we'll have to fix it. All right, I got the exposure to the back of the block behind me. Got it on the back end. I have the engine hoist, and what we discovered, because I know you really couldn't hear me, that this plug here was leaking. And based on, let's see, all right, hopefully we are filming. And here's where the leak was coming from. This plug wasn't really in there. You could tell by the shininess and the rest of it not being shiny that it only went in like a thread and a half, because we did notice the oil running out of there. So the attempt to fix it is now. And I can't tell if I'm recording. Let's see. But hopefully we are. I'm going to fix it, and we're going to put it back together and then run it and see what happens. Alrighty. I'm going to fix it. Put a new plug in there. Seal it up. I took this one out just to see the difference. And I'm hopefully going to be able to find in my own inventory another plug, clean it really good, silicone the silliness out of it, and put it back together. So that's the scoop. That's the plan. Stand by. All right. It's the beginning of a new week. I'm back and kind of bring you up to speed a little bit. Saturday, which I normally don't work on clients' cars, but it's been bugging me on the temperature when it comes to this engine. And because it's the second one from the company we ordered one for, the other one didn't have the issues that this one has between the oil leaks and the overheating. So this particular temperature gauge came set up with everything, and it's electric. The temperature gets through the wire, where the other ones, let me show you, are more like a cable. The old style. I have one. Where I put the boots? There she goes. So as you can see here, this kind right here, where it's got this, I don't know what you'd even call it, but it's flexible. It's the older style when it comes to giving temperature, and they're pretty faithful, I think. A lot of the old timers like them. The digital stuff that you get like in Dakota dashes, it's all nice and pretty, but I don't trust them. So in this particular coupe, we have both, because the car came with a Dakota dash. We then installed a very much similar to this one right here, and it's already in the car. So I took the temperature sensor off the other Chevy engine. I put it on here, and it seemed to be a lot more conducive to the application and seemed to be working. Now, in the meantime, the client is on the way with a new sensor that was in the old engine that was hooked up to that digital dash. And it's to hope that maybe that'll make a difference as far as the reading. To me, I ain't risking the possibility of the thing overheating and something then happening. So when, according to the gauge, when it was getting way past 220, because, good old blueprint saying 210, 220 is okay. If it goes above that, that's a little different, but they're not responsible for the cooling part of the engine. So with that even being said, I wasn't going to take the risk. And as soon as it was getting 250, shut it off each time. I didn't care. I wasn't taking the risk. So, with that being said, today I put my original radiator back on there because I put a different one and a little bit bigger one, and that one right over there on the pole. I had that one on there, and it did not make a difference, and it was leaking a little bit. So I don't want it to be leaking. So I put the regular one that I built for this particular setup back in it. So what I'm doing at the moment, I'm fitting the hoses a little better because it has to be adaptable not only to Chevy, Ford, Dodge, anything I stick on there. So with those different applications, it takes a different hose in a different spot. The Fords come out on the opposite side of Chevy. So, the hoses are different and they're shorter. And I want to make sure that I don't have too much hose to where it's looping down like a water trap in the sink. I don't know if that's good or bad. I wasn't going to take the chance. So I'm devising a shorter system to where I can keep at a certain level. And this way, hopefully, less air trapped and so forth. So we're going to see what happens there. I'm definitely going to do whatever I can to make this successful. And I just took a hose that I had from a previous job, and it had that funky stuff on it. This dressing that some guys like it, and you get different colored trim that covers the clamp. I can't stand this stuff. To me, it's garbage. I will not ever put it on any one of my personal vehicles. Nah, I don't care. No way in God's little green earth will I do that. So I just got done stripping that stuff off. This hose that I had cut it in half, and I stripped it off because, at the ends, it's like small little needles, and it could be quite annoying. So no way. Personal opinion, I don't really think it dresses up the engine. If they're black like this or a different type of style setup, anything is better than what I just showed you. So right now I'm going to see if this will work out even better, which it should. Yeah, this will fit on there just fine. All right, so need the clamps. Clamp it. This is the one I had on there before. It's a lot longer, and I think that it created too much distance. But I don't know if that's true because the smart cars, the gas ones, the radiators in the front, the engines in the back, and they got long, solid tubes that run from the front all the way to the back. So who knows? But I'm not taking the chance. I want to try to, in my best way, limit any possibility of anything being wrong on this. So that's what I'm doing now. So once I get this all set up, hopefully the client will be here and we can try her temperature gauge in here. And if it works, terrific. Then we know it was the temperature gauge that came off her old engine. So in the meantime, stand by. Alrighty, I am back, and we ran it again. We definitely had the new thermostat temperature sensor in there, and I think it'd be more fitting for the digital Dakota dash. But afterwards, we actually ran the mechanical one that I had aside. I should have thought of that sooner to see what kind of reading we would have between the two of them, and there is a difference. The mechanical one, I believe, is a more accurate reading, and they're in the similar vicinity of actually the thermostat. It's in the intake manifold, which is recommended, and there was probably a 20 to 25 degree difference between the electric one versus the mechanical one. And we're going to install it tomorrow. It's sort of hot in some areas. I'm going to start taking some stuff off that's not needed so that we can have it ready for tomorrow to put it back in the car. In the meantime, I've been working on the car, hooking up some additional amber lighting under the car. Yeah, something that she wanted to do. Move that fan out of the way. And I don't know if you can see all the wiring and stuff, all the stuff to wire a set of amber lights underneath there to shine in the wheel wells in the front and the back. And there'll actually be two separate switches, but instead of them being a set for the back and a set for the front, we basically have a set for the side and a set for the side, because for whatever reason you can't get the turn signals to work properly in the front as well as the back. And she likes the idea of using them, which is a good idea. And Puss in Boots agrees. Here she is. And how she's going to do it on the separate switches, especially at night, she will turn on and off the switch per side that she wants to make the turn. So, Puss in Boots agrees. Hi, kitty. Here she is. Here she is. Puss in Boots. So that's how they're being set up. I ran a lot of the wiring already. I had to run extra wires and also ran some loom in there already. But I'm going to get back on the engine, start taking stuff off, and get that out of the way. And that this way, tomorrow we'll start a different video. This is going to end the video for this part of it as far as a brand new engine. Yep. And hopefully this one works out well for her, because we're both at our wits' end with engines coming from different manufacturers and getting things rebuilt that aren't really holding up. Doesn't trust the idea that they've been rebuilt 3 times, so I don't blame her. She wants to enjoy the car every day, not once a week, once a month, once a year. And that's pretty much how that's going to go. So, in moving forward, I have a question if anybody wants to answer the question when it comes to thermostats, not so much as the thermostat, but really the sensors for the temperature gauge on it. Is it a fact or a fiction or whatever that whatever sensor that comes with the gauge is really the only one that really worked for it, other than like the mechanical one? Obviously, because they're such a direct fit, but the ones that are wired in or digital, is there a difference on the actual sensor, one from another, if they're different gauges, different companies? I have no idea. I wouldn't mind learning something if there is a difference or if there isn't, but it would be nice to know. And you can put it in the comment section if you wouldn't mind, and all the folks that have been hanging in there with me and watching. I don't have a lot of subscribers. I think I'm up to, I don't know, to me 255, 250. It could even be less, 225. I don't know. It's not a lot. Got a lot more to go. I've been doing it for a little while, and maybe it'll grow the channel, and maybe it won't. Either way, I'm still going to do them, because it does help when it comes to clients seeing what's being done to their vehicle and how it's being done, and it makes everything more transparent. At least for me, if people want to hide the kind of work they do, then let them hide it. It doesn't matter to me none. It's not my business, but this is. So, nevertheless, I do appreciate people watching. And if you haven't subscribed, if you would, all you got to do is just highlight that subscription area. And it doesn't cost you nothing. Give me a thumbs up, make a comment, all that stuff. And if I get to see it, I will reply back to it. And in the meantime, have a great day.